everybody, my name is Sheila SL Reads, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the movie Love, Simon. For any of you who don't know, this movie is based off of the amazing book Simon vs. Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I read this in January, I believe. I feel like it's been out forever. Like, I feel like it's been part of the LGBT canon for like my entire life, but I'm pretty sure it only came out like a few years ago. This is the special edition. I had like a different version of it that was like just the regular book, but then immediately after I finished it and after I had bought the book, they released the special edition, which has the original emails in it, which you don't actually see in the rest of the book. And if you don't know what this is about, it's about a boy who finds out that there is a closeted gay kid at his school, and they start exchanging emails. Neither of them know who the other one is, and it's a big thing of him trying to figure out like who it is. It's definitely scary because, I mean, they live in Georgia, it's not the most accepting of places, and he's just afraid of what people are going to think. One of the main things about it is that somebody starts blackmailing him because he finds out about these emails. Knows that people would be kind of awful if they found out that he was gay and exchanging emails with someone, and the person who blackmails is literally the most garbage person in the entire world. I was watching the movie and was like flipping the guy off. I screamed "fuck you," and somebody was like "yeah," and I was like, thanks, I appreciate the fact that we all hate this one guy. And so I'm gonna try and keep this video, like, the first part of it, I'm just gonna give a few like vague things if you haven't seen the movie, and it's just like my thoughts on it. The second part's going to have more spoilers for the book and the movie, so if you haven't seen the movie or haven't read the book or don't want those spoilers, then feel free to not watch that part. Overall, I really enjoyed the movie. They made changes between the book and the movie, but I felt like it made sense. I feel like I used to be more critical about movie adaptations and the little things that they changed. The pacing felt a little different, like it felt like it was going faster, but at the same time this book took place over a longer period of time, and so it would have been a little hard to show all of that within this movie. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing. I love soundtracks for movies. That's the majority of things that I listen to, and I've been listening to it non-stop. I saw this movie with two of my friends and it was fantastic. They were crying. I thought I was going to cry and then they cried instead, but I was tearing up a little bit inside. This is like the first like big feature film about LGBT teenagers, and that has a happy ending. It's a coming of age story, so there are definitely parts of it that are like kind of cringy at moments. Like, Simon makes mistakes and he has to deal with the consequences, and the thing is, like, people in real life make mistakes, and so if they had him being like this perfect character, it'd be so much less realistic and so much less relatable. I feel like they might have like amped up the like things that he did a little bit more. Like, I feel like he didn't do as many things like meddling within his friends' lives in order to keep this secret about his sexuality, but there definitely was more of that within the movie. The casting was absolutely fantastic. I am in love with like all of them so that's fun. The one cast member that I did not like all that much was the role of Leah, who's played by Katherine Langford, and I feel like she got the role possibly because she's a good actress. I have not seen her in a lot of things, so I can't really base it off of that, but I feel like it's just because she was recently in the adaptation of 13 Reasons Why, and she's like this big deal and they wanted people to watch the movie. But one of the biggest issues is that Leah is supposed to be a plus-size character, and they cast Katherine Langford, who is not plus-size. She kind of has like a body type like mine, not plus-size, not skinny, and at the same time they had her having like body issues, and I felt like, yes, anybody can have body issues. Like, I have body issues sometimes, but I felt like they're trying to be like, oh, she's still plus size when she's clearly not. That was definitely something that I had issues with in this movie. One of the greatest things about going to see this movie was definitely the people who were going to see this movie as well. Like, I don't think that there are many homophobes in the audience or people who did not know what they were getting into. Pretty sure if you saw the trailer, you know that it's gay. If you saw posters, if you read the books, you know what's gonna happen. And so it was great to have like an audience filled with like LGBT people and allies, and just have that kind of solidarity. Everybody was clapping at the same points, everybody was screaming and getting mad at the same points, and it was fantastic. I've seen a few articles recently saying that this movie is good, but is it really needed? Is it that important? And just last week there was a kid who killed himself because he came out as bisexual, and kids at his school didn't like it. And so if you see that, I mean, clearly it's still necessary. Clearly it's something that people still need. People need to be tolerant and accepting, and it's just not happening right now. I live in Chicago, which is a very diverse and open city, and I have not experienced a lot of discrimination because I am bisexual. I know there are a lot of kids out there who do need a movie like this, and something that's so important about this movie is that it gives a happy ending. And yes, there are a lot of situations in which LGBT people come out and they do not have good reception from their families, from their friends and everything, but it is not unrealistic that people are okay with it. Like, my own family was fine when I came out. My friends were fine when I came out. My friends were supportive. People are nice. And so that's definitely something that I related to. There's so many movies and TV shows in which the ending is tragic for LGBT characters. Like, they die, there's like some awful thing that happens to them, they break up. This is like a happy ending. Like, it's happy. Like, there's lots of stress in between the beginning and the end, but overall it's just a happy ending. And I think that is all that I have to say before I get into the spoilers. So if you don't want to see any spoilers, then thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. But for anybody who's staying, now we can get into some spoilers. One thing that I didn't really understand or appreciate about the movie, there's this one scene which you can clearly see in the trailer, so this is not much of a spoiler to start us off with, but Bram kisses someone. Bram is kissing a girl in the trailer, and if you've read the book, you know Bram is just gay. He's literally like, Simon, why did you have girlfriends if you're gay? Like, he just is like very gay, and like they explain it at the end, and they're kind of just like, oh, I was drunk and I was just confused, and I was like, okay, well, that's fine, I guess. But I was also just like, why? It was just like added drama. Something that I really enjoyed about this is every single time that Simon thought he knew who Blue was, which is the person that he's emailing, it would show like the new person like typing out the emails. Like, first it was kind of just like a blank face, and then it was like, oh, I think it's this guy, and so he was typing it, and then like the voice would change, and it was pretty cool. Everybody was screaming and crying and just overall jubilant about the kiss scenes. There were three, technically 2 kiss scenes, but technically like 3 kisses. The whole like Ferris wheel scene, like, I was kind of upset when I saw him on the Ferris wheel. I was like, it's supposed to happen on a tilt-a-whirl, but the Ferris wheel really worked. I really enjoyed the Ferris wheel. Like, he goes around and around and around, and then eventually, like, he's about to get off, and then Martin, who's the guy who blackmailed him, like, runs out, and he's like, oh, it was me the whole time, and he's like, it's not you, go away. And he just pays for it, and then Bram runs up, and he like gets on the Ferris wheel with him, and they get all the way to the top, and they kiss, and then like they look down at their friends because there's a crowd gathered there for some reason, which is still a little weird that there was a crowd. Like, somebody tried to take a picture, and Leah was like, no, and literally in the book, Leah is like the girl who like is obsessed with like gay relationships, that kind of stereotypical girl. Yeah, but then they kiss again, and then the last scene they kiss in, and I was like, oh, I'm like crying right here, like inside. It's amazing. Another thing that I didn't like about Leah, I feel like I went into this already not really liking Leah. Like, I liked her in the book, but I didn't like her like in the trailers. I don't like the actress. I don't like 13 Reasons Why. Like, it was just like, she's gonna be okay. But they changed like a big thing. What, I mean, it's not the biggest thing. If you have read this book, you know that Leah is in love with Nick, who is Simon's best friend besides Leah, and that is making things kind of stressful because Nick has feelings for Abby, who is one of their friends as well. And in this, Simon does all this meddling, and Martin wants to get with Abby, but so does Nick, and so he's like, oh no, Abby has a boyfriend, and he's like, don't ask Abby out, you should ask Leah out because she's in love with you, which she is in the book, but in this, she's in love with Simon, and that's the big, like, conflict point in their relationship. And I was like, you know, that was just unnecessary. You didn't need to do that. Like, you didn't have to do as much meddling. You didn't have to do, like, any of that. If they just, like, left it the way it was supposed to be, it would have been fine. Simon's family was fantastic. I love Jennifer Garner. She is such, like, a good mom character to have. And Josh Duhamel, I think. I've only really seen him in one thing, and he was also a dad in that, so I guess they picked good mom and dad characters. There were definitely some like cringy moments where he was like making like gay jokes, and then he realized his son was gay, and he was like, well, I am the worst dad around. The worst. There's a very funny clip which you can find on YouTube where he tries to set up a grinder for Simon, and Simon's like, what? And he's like, isn't that Facebook for gay people? And he's like, oh, that is not what that is. But it also shows how his parents are trying to be like accepting, and they're trying to like help him out because they've kind of been like unknowingly like ostracizing him this whole time. His sister's really great. They combined both of his sisters into just one character, which I think is fine because his older sister wasn't like that important. Like, she was going through like drama, and I have no idea like what it was even to this day. Like, I read the whole book, and she was just like, they're being mysterious, and I was like, girl, is it really that mysterious? Like, you could just tell us what's going on. Nick and Abby were both great. I love Nick. I love Abby. I love Bram. I love Simon too. Leah's the only one I really don't like. It's kind of bad. Martin is literally a scumbag, and I want him to atone for his sins because he was awful. In the book, like I said, it spans a lot longer of a period of time, I believe. Maybe I was just imagining that, but I'm pretty sure it spans a longer period of time. And so he's emailing Blue, and Blue is like, oh, you must be in love with someone else, because like Simon's like, oh, are these like facts about you, and like the first two were, and then it was like, oh wait, you're talking about someone else, so you must be in love with someone else, so I'll just go away because you don't want me. But in this, like, Blue finds the emails and then is like, oh yeah, I can't do this anymore. I saw that in one of the trailers and I started screaming, like literally screeching. I was like, excuse me? I was like terrified. I was like, oh my god, are they gonna change what the movie's about? Like, I was so stressed out. But everything works out because he ends up posting something on like the Creek Secrets blog, which is where like the emails got posted, like the blackmail, and where he found out that Blue was gay in the first place. Part of the reason why I think they wrote these extra emails, maybe it's because Becky Albertalli, the author, like had them somewhere, but also could have been because they started the movie before the emails started. And so like in the book, the emails start like a month in, I would say, whereas in the movie there's like a period of time we get to know Simon, and then he starts emailing him, and then he gets blackmailed, whereas this starts out like, hey, we're getting blackmailed right away. And so it's kind of more stressful that he's getting blackmailed because you're like, I already like Simon. I don't want him to get hurt. Like, I love him. I can definitely say the fact that he kept like envisioning like the different people, like he would just see someone who's like, oh, they could be gay, and then like immediately falls in love with them. Like, that is gay culture right there. Like, I can relate. I've definitely done that with people where I'm just like, oh yes, this person, now I'm just going to think about them for the rest of eternity. Like, that's just how it works. Like, there are lots of things that I felt were very relatable. He had the coolest bedroom. This was just such a great movie and such a necessary movie. I thought people were going to boycott this movie because the author is straight, and I think that is dumb. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it and say, oh no, that's fine. Like, no, it's not. Like, there is not a plethora of gay movies or LGBT movies out there. It is supposed to be like a big feature film. There are not a lot out there. And if you're boycotting this, which has a happy ending unlike a lot of movies with LGBT characters in it, and it's a coming of age story with LGBT youth, like, you just clearly just don't want there to be any more. Like, if this one doesn't do well, they're probably not going to make a lot more. There is literally a movie that was made for the miseducation of Cameron Post that has not been picked up yet, and I just bought that book. I don't know anything about it really, but I want to read it, and I want it to get out there on this big screens and everything. As an LGBTQ youth myself, like, these are the kind of stories that I want to see. Like, I want to see stories about kids who are like me. Like, it's nice to see the same story over and over again, but it's also nice to see stories like this one that have changed a lot of people's lives, that people can go see and realize that things are not always going to be awful. It's important. The fact that the author is straight is not that important. She consulted a lot of LGBT teens to make sure that she gave an authentic story, and yes, we should support all the own voices stories. Does not mean that we can say that books like this are not important. Yes, there are cringy moments. Yes, there are issues with it. And if you have issues for other reasons, then those are well-founded. But if it's just for that one, then I advise you just go see it and weep with everybody else in the audience like you should. It's worth it.